Hi there, my name is Trinity and I have a lot of talking to do at you, so sit tight, grab a snack, grab a coffee, and enjoy this video where I will be wrapping up my reading months of September and October because I fell a little behind. Let's just get right into it. So firstly, we are going to start off with the month of September where I read a total of 7 books. Good job, honestly. She was a little busy and your girl still read 7 books. It was a pretty good reading month. There were some pretty good books. Let's just start with the first one, which was Divine Rivals, which I rated a 5 out of 5. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's by Rebecca Ross. In this book, we are following 2 newspaper articleists, if that's a word, Iris and Roman, who are both competing for this job at the local newspaper, trying to get it. Iris is very much from a poor family. Roman is very rich and a lot is expected of him, and they both have some sort of little secret going on. Iris's brother is in the war, which is being held by a bunch of gods, and she is sending him letters through her dresser, sending them out in the world. She doesn't know if he's receiving them or what's happening, and then one day she starts getting letters back and she starts conversing with someone who she thinks is her brother, but ends up being someone a little bit different. This book has amazing writing. It is so lyrical and so beautiful and so wonderful. I felt like so magical and wrapped up in this story. It is so good. It's a little enemies to lovers, a little workplace rivals kind of situation. It's very She Loves Me coded, which if you know me, you know me. Oh my god, it's perfection. The last half of this book had me absolutely sobbing. I remember sitting up in the middle of the night, just like tears pouring over the pages, just absolutely losing my goddamn mind, hyperventilating. Like, so good. And if I do not get the sequel like soon, it's coming out in December, I'm gonna lose my mind. It is so good. 5 out of 5. Let's just move right on. The second book I read in September was The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, the second book in the Sholomance series, following off from the first one, which is The Deadly Education. In this one, we are following our main character Gal as she's navigating her final year in the Sholomance, which is like some crazy wizard school that's in like a whole different universe. It's a little hard to explain. It's a little crazy. I found with this book, I had a little bit of a harder time picking it up and getting into it. Do not get me wrong though, it is still a 4 out of 5 stars. It's still a 4 out of 5 stars. And you know who and you know why? Orion Lake. One more time for Orion Lake. King. Need I say more? I love him so much. And I think a reason why I had a little bit more trouble reading this book is because there wasn't as much Orion Lake in this book as there was in the first one, which is so mean. It's not like I don't like our main character. I love our main character and her friends, and I love the way this story took place. I just found it took a lot of effort to read, unfortunately. However, the ending to this book absolutely took me by the throat, sliced it open, and then kicked me to the floor. That's not being dramatic. This ending broke me. This ending hurt quite a bit. So if you want to read this series, go in mind with that. And I'm a little heart shattered and my heart hurts so much, but 4 out of 5 for The Last Graduate is quite good. I don't know. The next one, which was a major release that came out recently. I know everybody had this on their TBR, so obviously as soon as it came out, I bought it and I read it. That is Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, which I rated a 4.5 stars. We are following the highly anticipated story of Lucian and Salome, their love story. It's kind of like a childhood friends to enemies to lovers, maybe? You don't know, you gotta read the book. I loved this book. I loved their story and I loved their love. There were a few instances where it was like a little, but other than that, it was a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely was obsessed with the way Lucian was and his feelings towards Salome. There was a little bit of a B plot that I didn't really care too much about, but as somebody who loves the other characters in this series, the Nakamoun series, I was obsessed. We got so many of the other characters, which I appreciated so much. And the ending to this book, her epilogues, if Lucy Score knows how to do anything, it is how to write an epilogue, because it makes me cry every single time. It made my heart hurt. I read the epilogue and I was like, 4 out of 5, 4.5 out of 5. Loved it. So good. And I just really love how completed the series felt. I love the childhood friends aspect of it. I really enjoyed their character development and their growth from the beginning to the end of the book. It starts starts with Salome having a lot she's going through and then like healing throughout the duration of the book. I, however, did not quite like the mystery aspect, but there's always that B plot in Lucy Score books that I'm kind of like, whatever, give me the romance. And it was great. 4.5 out of 5. Great job, Lucy Score. Oh my gosh. And then we have to talk about the most perfect book in the entire world. It is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bowen Young. I rated this book a 5 out of 5 stars. In this book, we are following Win and Bo. This book is the accidental pregnancy trope, but it's done in an amazing way, and Bo is such a wonderful character. They meet at a Halloween party. They're both wearing similar costumes. They spark up a fun, witty conversation, and then they end up having a one-night stand, which leads to an accidental pregnancy. And everything about it is so sweet and so wonderful. It's kind of a more fall book, which I really appreciate. Like, look at this cover, number 1. Also, Canadian author, hit me up. Woot woot from the back. We love Canadian authors. It had such important messages, so much heart in this story. I loved the characters. I thought our female protagonist was hilarious. She was hilarious. Bo was the sweetest little bean, and if I do not get myself a man like Bo one day, I'm gonna die. This plot had me gushing. I think I read this in like a day. I loved it so much. 5 out of 5. Amazing book. Cannot wait to read more by this author. The next book I read in September was The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This is the author of The Dead Romantics, which was so good, and I read that one last year. This one came out and I wasn't too interested in it, but then everyone was talking about it. They said how much they loved it, and I thoroughly love this book too. I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. I just felt a little disconnected from some of the characters, but other than that, it was wonderful. We are following Clementine, who has recently moved into her late aunt's apartment. She was very close with her aunt. Her aunt says there's some sort of like magic in the apartment, which she's always kind of been like, yeah, my aunt says there's magic, cool, until she walks in one day and there's a lovely gentleman, a young gentleman by the name of Ewan, who is in her apartment just standing there. But here's the kicker, he's from 7 years in the past. Explain that to me. And they did explain that to me. I thought Ashley Poston did a wonderful job with the sort of sci-fi element in this book. The romance was so good, and we follow Ewan? I don't know. As he is a chef, and he's got a very popular restaurant in the present, and it was so perfect because we were also watching The Bear at the time, so I felt like so connected to his character, and I was like, yeah, chef. Anyway, that's so dorky. And it felt very much, instead of like a full-on romance novel, it felt like a women's fiction novel mixed with a little bit of romance, which I really appreciated. We had a lot more of Clementine's story. She works in the publishing industry. We had a lot of like what she wants to do with her life and her struggles, and I really enjoyed this book. 4 out of 5. Thank you so much, Ashley Poston. Keep me posted on your next book though, girl. Whew. The second last book we read in September was Powerless by Lauren Roberts, a classic TikTok book that everyone has been talking about and raving about. It is an enemies to lovers romance, fantasy, romantasy with a little bit of politics, a lot of bit of fun. I rated this book a 4.25 out of 5. In this book, we are following Kai, who is this prince who has like this very exclusive power in this elite society. He is a hunter. And then our other main character in this story is Peyton, who is an ordinary. In this society, there are elites and there are ordinaries, and anybody who is an ordinary does not have a power and also should not be alive. They're being hunted, killed, sent away, banished. They want this society to be all elite. Our main character, Peyton, is an ordinary posing as an elite to survive in this society until one day she happens to stumble upon Kai, kind of save his life, and then kind of got put into these trials that are like the Hunger Games. That's a very good explanation. Thank you, Trinity. Good job. I thought the enemies to lovers was very Red Queen of this book, which makes a lot of sense because she took a lot of inspiration from Red Queen, which I absolutely love. I gave it a 4.25 because I loved the banter. I loved the plot. I loved the characters. I loved all of those things. I just thought there was a lot of writing that got repeated a lot of times to the point where I felt it was very obvious that some things were going to happen, but I cannot fault her for this. This is her very first novel, and for your very first novel, it's amazing. It's so good. I am immensely jealous of how talented people are. This book was so good. 4.25 out of 5 stars. The next one is called Reckless, and it's coming out next year. I need my copy now. I need my copy now. It's so good. Oh. All right, and then the last book we read in September is The Frontrunner by Elsie Silver. It is the 3rd book in the Gold Rush Ranch series. In this book, we are following Stefan and Mira. Stefan owns like this rival horse ranch thing, and Mira is again a veterinarian for horses, and she is taking taking care of all the horses, and a certain situation happens with the horse where she needs to be there a lot of the time to take care of it, and he happens to also be there. He also happens to be like absolutely obsessed with Mira, which I appreciate so much. And Mira is a strong, independent woman who does not need a man, but she'll take one if he's hot. I think the story could definitely use some touch-ups. There was a lot of stuff that felt like we were just rushing from thing to thing, and we didn't really take our time on the things that I wanted to. I did rate this book a 3 out of 5, so I very much enjoyed it. I had a really good time with it. I just didn't feel as connected to them as I wanted to be, as it was a little rushed. Obviously, it is an older Elsie Silver book, and I'm just saying, if the Elsie Silver of today had wrote this book then, she would have ate this up, and she did eat it up, but Elsie Silver today would have ate this up, you know? Fast read, it's a really good series, and I absolutely adore Elsie Silver's writing, so anything that girl puts out, I will be reading. Thank you very much. Then we are moving on to the books I read in October. I have only read 5, no, that's a lie. I've only read 6 books in October. It's the 31st as I'm filming this, and I've just finished my 6th book yesterday, which is nice. It's not as much as a busier reading month as I would like. It was a very busy month, so I'm glad I even got this many books done. So the first book I read, which I've been dying to read because it was sent to me by the lovely author, Canadian Cian McCabe, sent me The Dragons of Minnith, and I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I thought this was a really good time. We are following Rain, who is a seer who has kind of been banished from this village, and then Ari, who has kind of been given this prophecy that he is going to slay dragons, and he very much does not want to do that. But the king is like, here is the sword, here is my friend's son, go kill this dragon. And Rain, our seer, sees that if he goes and he does this mission, he's gonna die, and she very much cares for him. It's very much the Princess Bride, and but the woman is like Wesley, you know? So basically they all end up on this quest. There's an assassin, there's another guy, and it's just this big long quest to go and kill a dragon, and a lot of rambunctious things happen. It's very much a traveling book, a travel adventure book, if you would say that, and I very much enjoyed that part of it. It's a very slow, cozy, comfy fantasy read with dragons and magic and adventure, and I thought it was a really good time. I'm very grateful that she sent me this book, and I finally have gotten around to reading it. Thank you, Cian McCabe, one more time for sending this to me. I really liked it. It was really good. I can't wait to read more of your writing. The next book was like my most anticipated release of this month, which is actually a lie because there's 2 more. Anyway, it's another big anticipated release. Of course, it is Wildfire by Hannah Grace. I rated it a 4.25. I actually now have 2 copies of all of the books that she's written, and she's only written 2. I love Hannah Grace and I love her writing. In this one, we're following Russ and Aurora. Russ is another hockey player from the last book. He's actually the one who it's kind of his fault that the ice rink got destroyed in the first book. Does not matter. These 2 have a spicy little one-night stand. Russ is such a little sweetheart and he wants to see her again, but Aurora is very much a party girl and very much used to being like, okay, he's done with me, bye. But then the next day they both go to camp where they're both working, and they're both camp instructors, and they have a lot of tension. A lot of tension, and it's so good. Again, we get a little bit of a found family that the lovely Hannah Grace absolutely slays at. She's so good at doing that. I really enjoyed how pure their love was. Honestly, it does start quite spicy, a little one-night stand, but then there is so much of them like getting to know each other and enjoy each other's company and like protecting each other and learning about each other and like spending time with each other, which is so important, and I love that so much, especially since both characters, Russ and Aurora, have a lot going on in their personal lives. I just thought this was such a wonderful book. 4.25 out of 5 stars. I can't wait for Henry's book. I did love Russ. I did like this blonde man, but I'm very excited for Henry. That's all I gotta say. That's all I need to say. We're all excited for Henry's book. And then the next book, and the reason why I didn't read so many books this month, is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. It is dark academia royalty, Donna Tartt. I rated this book a 4 out of 5 stars. We are following Richard as he enters this kind of cult-like Greek society of this very small, intimate class where they do Greek. Richard is very much not as rich or extravagant as all these people, but he's very fascinated by their lives. A certain event takes place, it gets pretty dark, a lot of crazy stuff starts to happen, and Richard is just kind of there. I thought the beginning of this book was so slow, so immensely slow. We got like every single detail about every single thing that was happening in Richard's life, and I'm gonna be so honest, I almost DNF'd it. I really did. I really almost did, because I couldn't even remember the main character's name for the first 180 pages. And then we got to page 181 and my life was changed. I was shook. I was shaking the book. I was freaking out. Oh my God, it got so good. The entire middle section of this book is where like the mystery and the action and the like reveal of a lot of things starts to happen, and it's crazy and it keeps you hooked. And for that whole part of the book, I was like flipping through frantically. That part was so amazing. And then it got a little bit slow again at the end, and they were kind of over explaining things that was happening. That's why I rated it a 4 out of 5. Oh my gosh. If it was just the center section of this book, I would have eaten it up. I thought the center totally redeemed the rest of it. Overall, I'm so glad I read this book. I can see where a lot of dark academia people take their inspiration from. This is such a good book. So I'm so happy I read it. It took forever, but I'm so happy I read it. And then because the movie is coming out so soon, I read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes by Suzanne Collins, which is the prequel to the Hunger Games series. I rated this book a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I'm just telling you, going into this book, I genuinely thought I was not gonna like it. I thought this was like a 3-star, which isn't a bad rating, but in my head, I had already placed it at like a 3. In this book, we are following young President Snow, who for the entire first half of the book, I called Cornelius. That's not his name. It's like Coriolanus? I don't know. I'm just gonna say young President Snow because I said his name wrong the entire book. And it is following the 10th annual Hunger Games. And this year they're doing something a little different, and they are having students from the college come and be mentors for the Hunger Games, which turns out crazy. This book is a roller coaster. Every single page, something crazy is happening, and it's like, gasp, oh my God. There's a little bit of a romance, but it's not really a romance. I think the only thing that brought this book down, in my opinion, was the songs. And I get it. One of our main characters, Lucy Gray, is a songwriter, a performer, and it was just so much. It was just too much for me. It was so many songs. The movie, however, I know is gonna slay, and the songs are gonna be so good. I think just reading songs in books is so difficult to do. That's why it's a 4.5. We have President Snow's friend, Sejanus, I think is how you say the name. Favorite character. Oh my God. I think about this book almost every day. So good. I think this is like my favorite book I read this month. It was so good. Exceeded my expectations. The second last book I read this month was Hopeless by Elsie Silver, her newest and latest release in the Chestnut Spring series. It was really good. I rated it a 4.5. We are following Bo, who is the last and final brother in the Eatons, and he falls in love with Bailey, who is 13 years younger than him. So we have an age gap. She's also kind of wrong side of the tracks type of girl. She works at the bar. She's very sweet and quiet, very mistreated, and Bo sees that and he's like, I need to fix that. They become fake fiancés and the plot takes place from there. Honestly, this book is so fast paced. There's so much spicy little tension in it that I just had to devour this book. Also, look at the cover. I did have to special order it from the United States Amazon because there was no way I wasn't going to have them all matching. There's no way. I also very much enjoyed the fact that he called her Sugar. I'm not going to say the last part of her nickname, but Sugar. And every time he says it, it reminds me of that like audio. You know, the one where it's like the cowboy one with Pescal Daddy? I'm getting all giddy thinking about it, but it reminds me of that, and it's, oh my gosh, so good. Because of the age gap, I just felt a lot of it was very much like he would say a lot about their age gap, and it would be a little creepy, and her inexperience, which is talked about so much that it made me uncomfortable, kind of. I love the Chestnut Spring series. I love them so much. It is so good, and forever one of my favorite series, and I appreciate it so much. And Elsie Silver, I cannot wait for your next one, baby girl. I cannot wait. Okay, and then the last book I've read in October, I actually just finished last night, and I even put this in my November TBR that I wanted to read it in November, and then I read it like in a day. It is, of course, A Curse for True Love by Stephanie Garber, the third and final book in the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I rated it a 5 out of 5 stars. I stayed up super late last night to read this book because it is so good. I can't really say too much about what the plot of this book is. I'm sure you know what A Once Upon a Broken Heart is about. It's so good, and this is the conclusion. And we really didn't know if we were gonna get a happy or a sad or like a complex ending or what we were gonna get. And it's a 5 out of 5 because I love the ending of this book so much. There's also some super fun things where there are 3 special editions of this book, and each one of them, Stephanie Carver put a sneaky little alternative bonus epilogue ending. And I was very pleased with the one I got in this copy, the Indigo exclusive. Stunning, absolutely stunning. I thought it wrapped up the series so well. We got a lot of answers. I would have loved a little bit more Jax, but I don't even care. It's a 5 out of 5. The series is 5 out of 5. It is so good. It melts my heart. I love her writing, and I like, as soon as I put it down, I just wanted to fall on the floor and die because I'm not gonna have her writing for like a little bit of time. She hasn't even announced her next book. What am I supposed to do with myself? I don't know. Alrighty, those are all the books I read in the month of September and October. Thank you so much for sticking around and listening to my thoughts and my opinions. I'm so happy you guys are here and you clicked on and you liked the video, hopefully. But if you have any book suggestions or video suggestions for me, leave them down in the comments. Make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe. You know what to do. But make sure you give lots of love, lots of kisses, and please, please, please have a great, happy November. Bye. I'll see you in the next one.